Today is another special video. Why? Because I'm giving you more insights about how I started in this journey again. How an 11-year-old boy's life changed due to his father's loss. In other words, his father's death. Yes. Welcome to Unlimited You. My name is Nodas, and I help people around the world through the mastery of energy. If you would like to receive some positive energy yourselves, just comment energy. So, my life totally changed. It shattered when one big event happened. When I was 11 years old, my father was diagnosed with lung cancer. We were in Canada at the time, and my family, my mother, they decided to fly him back to Greece, just to give you an example. Now, I'm telling you this story because you're going to see how this triggered the energy mastery that later on, happened in my life. And it's events that happen in your life that actually trigger who you are today. So I'm telling you this story to actually empower you, because whatever happens in your life happens for a reason, okay? Example, like I said, we moved them to Greece, and as he was in Greece, after a month or so, they pulled me out of school and they flew me to Greece myself. Upon landing, I remember I was 11 years old, and the airplane didn't sit well with me, so I was a little dizzy. I wasn't feeling well. When I arrived at my sister's house, my father was laying in bed because he had nurses going there and giving him shots, most likely for pain and all that stuff. Anyway, I laid down beside him, and I remember him being upset. He was upset because they pulled me out of school. Okay. Now, the real story is they moved him to Greece because they knew that he was going to pass. And my godmother went. She showed up there, and I remember, anybody that knows the story, you can see my previous videos with my godmother. I remember running to her as a little boy, and I was, at that time I thought maybe she could save him. So I said, "Can you please save my father?" And all that, right? To make a long story short, he passed after, maybe a month or so after that. I was in my hometown about 110 kilometers north of Athens when he passed. I didn't know that he passed. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the hospital. I was young. They didn't want to torment me, obviously. So what happened was, all of a sudden at my house in my hometown there, I saw my sister coming with my first cousin. They were bringing chairs and a whole bunch of stuff, and they were preparing because they were going to bring my father from Athens. That's how they do it back then. They would bring, the deceased person in his actual home for the viewing. So what happened was, I didn't realize, and then I asked, "What's with all the chairs?" And my sister didn't want to tell me. They were still, they didn't know how to tell me because I was really close with my father. And my cousin right away says, "Why aren't you telling them? Your father died." She just told me flat out like that. "Your father died, and we're preparing for him." So, needless to say, I was in shock. I went through a total turmoil right there. The biggest turmoil was when people started gathering, and I remember they brought him from Athens in a cab. His coffin was laying, sideways, and they had tied a rope around it, and they brought him like that. That's years ago. They brought him, at the back of the trunk of the cab. I remember seeing that vision. Then when he pulled into my property and he came towards the house, I was totally stunned. 11 years old. I really loved him. That changed me. It really did. After that, of course, they had the people, visiting, and then they had to bury him, the next day. But I remember I got tormented. In Greece, funerals are very, very personal. The whole town was there, relatives, his brother, his mother was alive, his sister, my whole family, so many people gathered. And needless to say, I knew none of them because I had just gone to Greece. And I knew literally not even my aunts or my uncle or nobody. So, to make a long story short, that incident made me furious. I was angry. I was angry with the doctors. I didn't know any better. 11 years old. You're directing your anger somewhere. I was angry with God. I was angry with everybody. To me, I was 11 years old and I lost the most precious thing that I had. Or one of the most precious. I had my father and of course my mother was alive. But I was really close with him. What happened after that was a series of other events, that triggered me to actually try to help people. I saw my mother becoming ill. After that, other people around, my town that were dying and all that. But my biggest anger was the fact that I couldn't help my father. That triggered everything for me. Why couldn't doctors help him? That's what I was thinking. Why didn't God step in? That's what I was thinking. Why didn't my godmother, with all her energy and all her, wisdom, do something about it? You see, at that time, I didn't realize that really it's up to the individual, number one, when they want to cross. And number two, if you really want to help somebody, there's powers out there that can help you, help them, right? That triggered a series of events for me to look into other ways to helping people. That's what I'm getting at. In other words, if domestic, or the normal science can't help somebody, because I saw that we had a limit, right? Then there must be something beyond it. So I was looking at that time into different methods, like magnets, trying to help, other people that would be ill and they wouldn't be doing well. I really wanted to help them. My only goal was to help people because that triggered, that loss that I had as a young child triggered this in me. And then later on, of course, when my mother was ill, that triggered me even more. I remember after my father had passed as an 11-year-old boy, I would sleep literally in the house with a stick that I had grabbed from the tree, just trying to protect my mom because we were out in the, in the fields. And literally, we didn't know how people were going to respond. At least that's what they were saying. They might think you came from Canada, you have money, and, they might rob you, stuff like that. So I was overprotective towards my mom. And I would sleep with a stick or a club trying to protect her if anything would happen. Of course, nothing did happen. I didn't need to use it. Greece is a wonderful country, but it's the idea that I had. The idea that I needed to protect people. The idea that, you could do something beyond it. And my journey started. My journey started after all had failed. Something inside me was telling me, Nondas, there's more to it. Nondas, everything is energy. I kid you not, I would have these visions of, people feeling better just by you or me in this scenario, projecting energy towards them. I would look at, different cartoon characters back then with magical powers like telekinetic powers, and I would look at Superman. I would say, yeah, there's got to be something bigger than just what we know So I started, playing with different energies. I started trying to move things. Of course, before I ever succeeded, it took me quite a while. But the trigger point was exactly what I said on my previous video about the download that I got with Gabriel. That information that was downloaded came to me years later, of course. But in the meantime, I was progressing. In the meantime, I was growing. In the meantime, I was playing around with energy. In the meantime, yes, I could start moving things around. Now, why would I want to move things around? I'll tell you why. You see, my idea wasn't just to start moving objects or moving anything around. It was deeper than that. You see, that was my exercise. And I figured if I can start moving things around, guess what? I can move whatever issue somebody might have in their body, right? I can literally project this energy and make somebody feel better. I can literally go beyond, what we have been told. It wasn't for selfish reasons. It was for reasons to help others. And this is what triggered it. The loss of my father started this chain of events. And of course, other events that happened in between, other people that passed, other people that got sick. I would visit them in hospitals and I would see how literally, they were in desperation. They were in a lot of pain. I wanted to ease their pain and I couldn't. I was a child, right? And even though they would be pumped with medications and all that stuff, it was only short term, right? Nothing was permanent. So, when something bad, quote unquote, happens in your life, use it as an opportunity to find growth. Use it as an opportunity to find out how you can help others with it. Beyond helping others just physically after, which I literally mastered that technique, I realized that you can also, or I could also help people manifest whatever they wanted to manifest. Why? Because it's the same energy. It's the same techniques. You just change your focus, you see. These are information, or this is information that was downloaded, of course, and actually I had learned from my godmother, from her, wisdom and the ways she was doing things, and B, the downloaded information. And I'm saying A and B because she came first before the downloads, right? So, practice your energy. Practice where you direct your thought. When I say that you direct your thought, okay, that is the stepping stone. You need to be clear. You need to be focused. You need to be literally calm, because everything happens in calmness, okay? And then when you are calm, you connect with an emotion, either love, appreciation, gratitude, joy, any emotion that is high in a vibrational scale, right? And when you do this and you combine this with a thought, then that's where the magic happens. I learned this through experience. I learned this by practicing it myself. I learned this because I quickly realized that there's something beyond what we see. I quickly realized that everything is energy and that everything is connected. If I can move an object from distance, what does this mean? It means that there's a connection. If I can help somebody from a distance, what does it mean? It means that there's a connection. You see, we're all connected. What does it mean when you put your intention and things happen? Is it by accident? Of course not. It is your intent. And I'm nothing special. You have the same abilities. you are truly unlimited. You just were never taught. Put your focus, put your awareness on something, and then push it out with a positive emotion. It is as simple as that. I hope this video helped a few of you, and I gave you a little more insight of how my journey started. Yes, the loss of my father was, very, very real to me, and it still is, because you never really recover from stuff like that. It's just now, with all my knowledge and all the experiences that I have, I know that everything happens for a reason. And that happened in my life for me to become who I am today. And that's the way you should see things as well. Meaning, whatever happens in your life, use that as a stepping stone to grow, expand, and become a better person in your current reality. Love and light to all. No matter what you do, be the greatest you. Always shine bright. Share this video to as many people as you think might benefit from it. Literally. There's a lot of people out there that are hurting. So sharing some love, sharing some information is always a good thing. So share the video. And of course, you're free to check out my other channels, as usual. Unlimited Us, Unlimited Lifestyle. That's the one that I do with my wife. Unlimited Us, Unlimited Lifestyle. Love and light. Thank you so much for being here. Bye for now.